You've never heard an HFY story like this, humanity's floating fortress. The human fortress floated in space like a silent ghost. No engines burned. No lights blinked. It moved without sound, drifting near the edges of a dead star system. Alien scouts had seen it for weeks. They reported it to the Galactic Union, expecting curiosity and confusion. No one expected danger. After all, how could a structure with no visible weapons or engines be a threat? Commander Alan Brooks walked through one of the main corridors, his boots making soft echoes against the metal floor. The corridor was wide and clean. The walls were lined with panels that glowed faintly with green light. Humans moved with calm purpose. Children ran between adults, laughter echoing through the long halls. Alan watched them for a moment. He knew what outsiders would never understand. This fortress was not just metal and technology. It was humanity itself, built to survive, built to endure, and built to protect. Alan, a voice said. It was Captain Lisa Morrow. She was walking toward him with a small tablet in her hands. Her expression was calm, almost too calm for the situation outside. "Report," Alan asked. "Scouts near the outer rim are curious," Lisa said. "They are approaching slowly, but they have not attacked. They think we are harmless." Alan nodded. "Good, let them think that. It works in our favor." "Do you really think this fortress will fool them?" Lisa asked, glancing at the smooth surface of the walls. "They have sensors that detect energy flows. They will see the core powering the gravity wells." Alan smiled faintly. "They will see what they want to see. The question is, do they understand it?" Inside the fortress, life went on as usual. Farms floated in specially controlled chambers. Humans grew crops hydroponically, vegetables and grains for thousands of people. Children learned history in classrooms that overlooked the empty void of space. Engineers tinkered in shipyards, though there were no ships ready to leave yet. Every part of the fortress was alive, full of movement, full of purpose. It was a city that could move anywhere, survive any attack, and endure any siege. Yet the galaxy did not know this. Kevin Ross, the chief engineer, worked in the core chamber. He was surrounded by panels, switches, and glowing tubes. The heart of the fortress pulsed faintly beneath him. The gravity wells that kept the fortress suspended in space were delicate, precise, and powerful. One mistake could tear the structure apart. Kevin ran his fingers over the controls, checking pressure points and energy outputs. "Kevin, how are we looking?" Alan's voice came over the intercom. "Stable," Kevin said. "We have minor fluctuations in the outer wells, but nothing serious. The fortress is ready for anything the aliens throw at us." Alan's hand rested on the intercom button. "Good, keep it that way. And Kevin, remember, let them think we are weak. It makes our position stronger." Kevin nodded. He understood exactly what Alan meant. The fortress was a trap that could never be seen as one. Humans had learned long ago that appearances mattered more than reality. The galaxy feared power it could not understand. This fortress made power invisible. Outside, alien scouts moved closer. Their ships glimmered in the faint light of the dead star. They scanned the fortress, sending data back to their fleets. Each report called the humans reckless, weak, and unprepared. The aliens assumed that a structure with no weapons and no engines was a soft target. No one thought humans could survive without showing strength. Inside, Security Officer Maria Lane walked along the observation deck. She watched the aliens with calm eyes. She knew their assumptions would cost them. Humans had trained for decades for this moment. Every movement, every drill, every simulation had led to this quiet confrontation. She smiled faintly. The aliens had no idea what was coming. Children played nearby, unaware of the tension outside. One child, Emily, floated near a window looking at the tiny alien ships. "Mom, why are they looking at us?" she asked. Her mother, Jennifer, smiled and held her hand. "They are curious, sweetie," Jennifer said. "Curious about humans. Humans are always interesting, even to other species." Emily frowned. "But will they hurt us?" Not if we are careful, Jennifer said, and we always are. Alan Brooks walked past them. He saw Emily and her mother. He remembered when his own children had floated through these halls, playing without fear. Now, as he watched the alien scouts inch closer, he felt the weight of responsibility. This fortress was everything humans had built, everything they had dreamed of, and he was charged with keeping it safe. The fortress itself seemed alive. It adjusted subtly to the presence of the scouts. Internal sensors shifted gravity fields in the outer hull. Lights flickered briefly to confuse scanning systems. Panels rotated silently, creating a maze that would be confusing if anyone ever boarded. The aliens had no idea they were already inside a trap they could not see. Alan entered the command chamber. It was a wide room with a large window overlooking the void. Consoles lined the walls, glowing softly. Lisa Morrow was already there, speaking with Kevin and Maria. Alan nodded. "We have their full attention," Lisa said. "They think we are defenseless." Alan walked to the center of the room. "Let them think that. Do not give them reason to doubt it. Every scout that comes too close is walking into our demonstration. They will leave believing humans are weak, and that will be their mistake." Kevin tapped a few controls. Gravity wells are stable. The fortress can hold its position against any approach. The internal corridors will remain confusing. No boarding party will reach the core without us allowing it. Maria nodded. Security teams are ready. Every entry point is mapped. Every movement is tracked. If anyone boards, they will find nothing but dead ends and traps. Alan's face softened for a moment. Good. Now life continues as usual. Civilians and children must never see fear. We are not a fortress for war. We are a fortress for life. Outside, the alien scouts sent small messages back to their fleets. They debated sending a strike force, but hesitation grew. One of their leaders, a commander named Zather, argued that humans were weak, unarmed, and foolish. Another, more cautious, suggested further observation. Alan and Lisa watched these communications from their sensors. Each message confirmed their plan. The aliens were confident, and confidence blinded them. Inside the fortress, daily life went on. Farmers adjusted water flow to floating crops. Children practiced lessons in zero-gravity classrooms. Engineers calibrated panels, making sure the fortress remained a perfect balance of energy and matter. Janitors cleaned corridors with quiet diligence. Humans moved as a single organism, calm and efficient. Alan took a moment to speak to Captain Lisa. "Do you ever wonder if they will understand what we are?" Lisa shook her head. "No, they will never understand. They will only understand the results, and that is enough." Alan nodded. He walked to the observation window. The fortress seemed small against the void of space, but he knew its strength. Every panel, every corridor, every crew member was part of a design that no alien fleet could touch. It floated silently, but inside it held the power to survive anything. "Alan," Maria said, approaching him, "they are moving closer. They do not suspect anything." "Good," Alan said. "Let them move. Every step they take brings them deeper into our story, and when the time comes, they will learn what humans can do when no one expects it." The alien scouts edged closer. Their sensors detected nothing unusual. Their communications assumed weakness. But deep inside the fortress, Kevin, Lisa, Alan, and Maria prepared for what the galaxy would never forget. The floating fortress was more than a structure. It was humanity, made visible in invisible ways. Alan turned to look at his crew. "Remember," he said quietly, "we do not need to fight yet. We only need to survive. Survival is the message humans carry, and it is stronger than any weapon." The crew nodded. They understood. The fortress was their home, their shield, and their proof. Humanity had learned long ago that the galaxy feared what it could not see. Now, the fortress would show them, in silence first and in power later, what humans truly were. And so the floating fortress drifted near the dead star, silent, calm, and ready. The galaxy watched, unknowing. It would take time before anyone understood the truth, but when they did, the story of humanity would change everything. For now, life inside continued. Children laughed, engineers tinkered, farmers cared for crops, and humans moved with quiet purpose. Outside, alien eyes scanned and reported weakness. The fortress seemed helpless. But every moment it floated, every calm action taken by humans inside, it grew stronger. It was alive with intention, patience, and hidden power. And somewhere in the void, Alan Brooks and Lisa Morrow smiled faintly. They knew the galaxy would never forget this floating fortress. It was humanity's silent declaration. It would drift, endure, and teach the galaxy lessons it could not yet imagine. The alien scouts finally sent a small fleet toward the floating fortress. They assumed they would face nothing but metal walls and unarmed humans. Their ships glimmered as they moved in formation, a dozen vessels cutting through the void like blades. Zather, the alien commander, studied the scans. He tapped a clawed finger on the control panel. "They are unarmed," he said to his subordinates. "They have no engines, no shields, no weapons. This should be simple." But inside the fortress, Commander Alan Brooks was calm. He walked through the control hall, observing screens that tracked every alien ship. Captain Lisa Morrow stood next to him, her face unreadable. Security Officer Maria Lane monitored entry points, and Engineer Kevin Ross adjusted the readings of the gravity wells. "Alan," Lisa said, pointing to the fleet, "they are approaching in attack formation. They still think we are defenseless." Alan nodded. "Good, let them come. Confidence will be their mistake." Kevin tapped a few panels, and the core of the fortress hummed quietly. The gravity wells that kept the fortress afloat were also ready to defend it. The humans did not need guns to fight. Their structure itself was the weapon. "Gravity fields are stable," Kevin said. "We can shift the outer layers. Any boarding party will be lost before reaching the core." Maria nodded. "Security teams are in position. If they try to board, they will find nothing but corridors that move and rotate. It will be impossible to navigate." Alan smiled faintly. "Then let the lesson begin." Outside, the alien fleet moved closer. They did not notice the subtle distortions in space around the fortress. The ships began to slow as gravity wells gently tugged at them. Their navigation computers reported errors. Some ships drifted slightly off course. Zather frowned. "What is happening?" he asked. "Why are we losing formation?" "It must be a malfunction," one of his officers said. "Humans cannot do this." But inside, humans watched calmly. Engineer Kevin activated a secondary layer of gravity fields. Corridors inside the fortress began to shift silently. Panels rotated. Doors led to dead ends. Lights flickered to confuse scanners. Any alien who attempted to board would find themselves trapped in a maze. "Prepare teams," Alan said, "but only if they try to step inside. Let them believe we are weak." The alien scouts sent a message demanding surrender. They expected a simple yes or no. Alan read it aloud. "They ask us to surrender. They do not know the fortress is alive." "Reply," Lisa said. "Say nothing. Let them think we ignore them." Alan nodded. He tapped the communication panel. No words were sent. The silence itself became a message. Humans did not beg, they did not fight yet. They simply existed. The aliens had no frame of reference for this. A small boarding ship detached from the alien fleet. It moved toward a docking port on the fortress. The aliens believed it would land easily. The crew inside the fortress watched every move. "Security teams ready?" Alan asked. "Ready," Maria said. "Gravity fields?" Alan asked Kevin. "Active," Kevin replied. "Corridors are shifting. Any intruder will lose orientation immediately." The boarding ship touched the outer hull. Human sensors tracked them precisely. The ship opened its airlock. Alien soldiers stepped onto the surface, confident. Then the fortress moved, not like a ship with engines, but subtly. Gravity wells shifted. The surface beneath the aliens tilted slightly. Their balance failed. One soldier fell, slipping backward. Another tried to run, but the floor shifted again, tossing him to the side. Inside, human security teams moved quickly. They did not attack. They only guided. The corridors rotated silently, forcing the aliens into tight areas where they could not escape. Doors closed automatically, leaving soldiers trapped. "They think they can take us," Alan said softly, "but we are already in control." Lisa watched from the observation deck. "It is beautiful," she said. "They cannot see us as the danger, but they feel it." Outside, Zather saw his soldiers fail to return messages. Panic spread. The boarding ship was full of silent screams as the aliens realized the fortress was not a simple structure. They were inside a trap they could not understand. "What is happening?" Zather demanded. "Why are they losing control?" "We cannot board," one officer said. "The humans, they are using the fortress itself." Inside, Alan moved with calm precision. Human teams guided the trapped aliens into holding areas gently but firmly. No one was killed. No one needed to die. The fortress itself was enough to stop them. Kevin adjusted the gravity wells again. The entire surface tilted, causing panic in the boarding party. Corridors rotated. Lights flickered. Doors closed automatically. The aliens ran in circles, unable to navigate. "They think they are attacking," Maria said, "but they are the ones caught." "Good," Alan said. "Let them learn." In the main control chamber, Lisa monitored every movement. "We could neutralize them completely," she said, "but we will not. This is a lesson, not punishment." Alan nodded. "Remember, humans do not fight to kill, we fight to survive, and sometimes that is stronger than any weapon." Outside, the alien fleet began to hesitate. Their sensors detected the chaos on the surface. "They are unarmed," Zather repeated. "But how is this possible?" "They are humans," another officer whispered. "We cannot predict them." Inside, the fortress hummed with quiet energy. Corridors shifted and rotated like a living organism. Gravity wells bent space slightly, throwing off alien sensors. The humans inside moved calmly, guiding children, tending crops, maintaining life as if nothing unusual was happening. Alan watched and smiled. The aliens would leave believing humans were weak. They would not understand that every step, every calm action, every quiet adjustment was a display of power far beyond what they imagined. Kevin spoke quietly. "They will not try boarding again. They do not understand what they are facing." "Good," Alan said. "Let them think they are safe. In time they will see the truth. But for now, patience is our ally." The boarding ship finally retreated. Alien soldiers scrambled back to their vessels. Zather's fleet began to pull away. No one was injured, yet the message was clear. The fortress could not be touched. Inside, life returned to normal. Children laughed, engineers tinkered, farmers tended floating gardens, security teams monitored corridors. Nothing had changed, yet everything had changed. The aliens now feared humans not for what they had seen, but for what they could not understand. Lisa turned to Alan. "They will tell others. The galaxy will begin to notice humans. Our fortress has sent its first message." Alan nodded. "A message of survival. A message of patience, and a message that humans are not to be underestimated." Kevin smiled. "And all without firing a shot." Maria added, "They will remember this moment. The humans they thought were weak, they will not forget." Alan looked out the observation window at the retreating fleet. The floating fortress drifted silently in space, calm and unarmed. Yet inside, it held power that could not be measured by sensors or weapons. It was alive with purpose. It was humanity itself. "Today we showed them," Alan said softly. "Tomorrow they will wonder how a simple fortress could stop an entire fleet. And that is the point. Humans do not need to destroy to win. Sometimes patience, planning, and understanding are stronger than firepower." Outside, the alien fleet disappeared into the darkness of space. Inside, the fortress continued its quiet work. Children floated through corridors, laughing. Engineers adjusted panels. Life went on. And somewhere deep inside the fortress, Alan Brooks and Lisa Morrow knew the galaxy had changed. Humans had demonstrated power, not with weapons but with calm, intelligence, and the quiet strength of a floating city that could survive anything. The fortress drifted silently. The aliens would return. Someday, perhaps, they would understand humans. But for now, the story had only begun. The floating fortress had sent its first lesson. Humans were never weak. They were waiting, watching, and prepared. Alan watched the stars and whispered to himself, "We are ready. The galaxy will learn the truth, whether it wants to or not." And life inside the fortress went on, calm, steady, and alive with purpose, as if the universe itself had taken notice of a power that no one could yet comprehend. The Galactic Council had received the reports. Alien scouts and commanders spoke in panic about the floating fortress. They described a structure that moved without engines, trapped boarding parties with invisible forces, and survived attacks without a single shot fired. Whispers filled council chambers across the galaxy. Humans had built something no one could understand. Ambassador Nathan Cole, a calm and steady human, entered the council chamber. He carried no weapons. He carried no threats, only a quiet confidence. Alien representatives looked at him with suspicion. Some sneered. Others whispered nervously. No one had seen humans in such a position of power before. "Ambassador Cole," the council leader said, "we have questions about the fortress your species commands. Explain its nature. Why does it exist, and why does it defy every law of our understanding?" Nathan stood tall. His voice was calm, even. "The fortress exists to protect humanity. It is not a weapon in the way you think. It is a city that can survive in any condition. It can move through space without engines, withstand attacks without shields, and defend itself without weapons. Its strength lies in its design, its purpose, and the will of the people inside." The council murmured. One of the representatives, a tall alien with blue scales named Vren, hissed, "You claim it defends itself without weapons. Your species built this to survive. Then why did it repel our boarding parties with such efficiency? That was not defense. That was control." Nathan nodded. "Control is a part of survival. We guide our enemies away from harm without unnecessary destruction. Our fortress does not kill unless it must. Humans do not fight to conquer. We fight to survive. That is why the fortress exists." Another representative, a small and nervous creature called Shira, spoke. "How can your people be so precise? The aliens who attempted boarding said corridors moved, gravity shifted, and they could not navigate. This is impossible." "Nothing is impossible when it is designed with patience and understanding," Nathan said. "Humans build not to destroy, but to endure. The fortress is the sum of our knowledge, our planning, and our desire to protect life. You fear it because you cannot understand it. That is not its fault, it is your limitation." The council fell silent. Humans had never been so direct. They had never confronted the galaxy in this way, yet there was no anger in Nathan's voice. No threats, only the truth. Inside the fortress, life went on as usual. Children floated through halls, laughing. Farmers tended hydroponic crops. Engineers checked panels. The fortress itself hummed quietly. It was alive with energy, yet calm, as if it had absorbed the confidence of its crew. Commander Alan Brooks walked along the observation deck. He watched the stars. He knew the council would not understand immediately. Humans had built this fortress not to win a single battle, but to send a message that could never be ignored. "Alan," Lisa Morrow said, joining him, "they do not understand yet. They fear, but they cannot see the truth. It will take time." Alan nodded. "Fear is enough for now. Understanding will come later. Patience is stronger than firepower. Humans have learned this long ago." Kevin Ross checked readings in the core chamber. The gravity wells pulsed steadily. "We are stable. No signs of interference. The fortress is calm." Maria Lane walked through corridors, observing security teams. "The council may demand answers, but they cannot force us to change." Humans built this fortress for humans, not for approval. The council chamber continued. Alien leaders argued among themselves. Some wanted to attack, some wanted to negotiate. None of them understood the fortress, and that uncertainty terrified them. Nathan Cole spoke again. The fortress is not a threat unless you make it one. We offer no harm. We only offer survival. Humans have learned that power without understanding is dangerous. That is why we built it. The galaxy feared what it could not see. Now you see it. And your fear is natural. Vren hissed in frustration. You speak in riddles. Your fortress is a weapon disguised as a city. We cannot allow this to continue. It disrupts the balance of power. Balance, Nathan said calmly, is meaningless when your species does not know the consequences of its own actions. Humans build to endure, to protect, and to survive. Our fortress teaches the galaxy that strength does not require destruction, only understanding. Perhaps you cannot see it yet. That is not our problem. The council grew uneasy. The human ambassador did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. He simply explained the purpose of humanity's floating fortress. Yet his words carried weight far beyond the council chamber. Whispers of the fortress, of humans, of their patience and precision began to spread. Inside the fortress, children learned history lessons about human ingenuity. Emily, a curious child, floated near a window, staring at the stars. Her mother, Jennifer, floated nearby, smiling. "Mom," Emily said, "why do the aliens fear us?" Jennifer looked at her daughter and smiled. "Because humans are not like them. We think differently. We plan for the future. We protect life. That makes us unpredictable." Alan walked past, overhearing them. He smiled faintly. Unpredictable is the right word. The galaxy fears what it cannot predict, and we will continue to show them in time what humans truly are. Lisa joined him. They will ask for treaties, alliances, or agreements, but they do not know the fortress is ready for anything. Their fleets are useless against it, and their weapons cannot harm it. All we need is patience. Alan nodded. And patience we have in abundance. In the council chamber, debate continued. Some alien leaders argued that humans should be treated as equals. Others demanded destruction of the fortress. The fear of the unknown clashed with old habits of aggression. Humanity had forced the galaxy into uncertainty, and that uncertainty was power. Nathan Cole concluded, "Humans do not seek conquest. We do not seek revenge. We do not seek to dominate. We seek survival. And if you threaten that, the fortress will act. But it will act not because we want war, but because we want peace. Humans understand that the cost of war is greater than the cost of preparation. Perhaps one day the galaxy will learn this too." The chamber fell silent. Whispers filled the halls. The floating fortress had sent its message through action and presence, not weapons. Humans had demonstrated that strength could exist without violence, and control could exist without aggression. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Inside the fortress, life continued normally. Kevin checked the core one more time. The gravity wells hummed with stability. Engineers moved quietly, maintaining systems. Farmers tended crops. Children played and learned. Alan watched the stars. "We have shown them power, now we show them patience. The fortress moves not to attack but to endure. That is our strength." Lisa nodded. "And when they finally understand, it will be too late for them to ignore humanity." Maria added, "They will speak of this fortress for generations. They may fear it, but they cannot deny it. Humans have created something beyond their understanding." Alan turned back to the observation window. The stars were calm, the void silent. Yet inside the fortress, energy pulsed with quiet purpose. It was alive, not as a weapon, but as a city, as a people, as a statement. Nathan Cole returned from the council chamber. He looked at Alan and Lisa. "They fear us, but they do not yet understand. That is enough for now. Humans have sent a message that cannot be ignored." Alan nodded. "The next step is patience. We allow them to live with their fear. We allow them to question what they thought they knew, and we continue to protect our own. Kevin smiled quietly. And the fortress remains calm, ready for whatever comes next. Lisa added, "We are not here to conquer, Alan. We are here to endure." And that endurance is what terrifies them most. Alan turned to the crew. "Remember this. Humans do not fight because we want to win battles. We fight because we must survive. And sometimes survival is stronger than any weapon. Today, the Council has seen this. Tomorrow, the galaxy will understand it. One day, they will never forget it." Outside, the stars remained calm. The floating fortress drifted near the dead star, silent, unarmed, yet unstoppable. Inside, humans lived, laughed, and worked. The fortress was alive, not as a tool of war, but as proof of human resilience. And somewhere in the void, alien fleets reconsidered. They whispered among themselves about the humans and their strange fortress. No weapon had fired, no shields had been used, no life had been taken. Yet the message was clear: humans were not weak. They were prepared. They were patient. And they were impossible to predict. Alan Brooks watched the darkness of space and whispered to himself, "Humans endure. Humans survive. And that is power the galaxy cannot measure. Today they fear us. Tomorrow they will respect us. And one day they will know the truth of what humans can build and why they cannot be ignored." Inside, the fortress pulsed with life. Children laughed, engineers worked, and humans moved calmly through corridors. The floating city was alive with quiet strength. It had survived its first test in the galaxy, and it would survive many more. The Council had seen, the galaxy had whispered, and humans had proven one simple truth: survival, patience, and intelligence are more powerful than weapons, more enduring than fleets, and more unstoppable than fear itself. The floating fortress waited, silent, calm, and ready. The galaxy had begun to learn the story of humanity. The galaxy had not forgotten the floating fortress. Whispers of its power traveled faster than any fleet could move. Alien fleets and council members debated endlessly. Some feared humans, some admired them, and some planned attacks, hoping to test the fortress and its crew. The humans inside the fortress knew that sooner or later someone would act. Patience was their ally, but action might soon be necessary. Commander Alan Brooks walked along the observation deck, watching the stars. "They will come," he said softly. "They always do when they fear something they cannot control." Captain Lisa Morrow joined him. "And when they come, we will be ready." The fortress does not need engines, shields, or weapons to survive. It only needs humans who understand it. Inside the core chamber, engineer Kevin Ross checked the gravity wells. The energy flowed perfectly. "All systems stable," he said. "The fortress can move, absorb impacts, and adjust to any approach. If they come, we can guide them without firing a single shot." Security Officer Maria Lane walked through the corridors, monitoring the movement of the crew. Children played, engineers worked, farmers tended crops. Life inside the fortress was calm, ordinary, and yet extraordinary. Humans had learned long ago that strength could hide in normalcy. Suddenly, the sensors picked up movement near the outer rim of the system. A massive fleet appeared, stretching across space like a living shadow. Thousands of ships, armed to the teeth, moved toward the fortress. Alien banners glimmered in the distant light. This was no scout fleet. This was a full attack force. Alan studied the display. "So it begins," he said. Lisa joined him. "They think numbers will win. They do not understand patience, precision, or humans." Kevin tapped controls. "Gravity wells are ready. Corridors will shift. Any boarding party will be disoriented instantly. The fortress is prepared." Maria added, "Security teams are in position. No intruder will reach the core without our permission." Outside, the massive alien fleet advanced confidently. Their weapons glimmered. They assumed that sheer numbers would overwhelm the fortress. Their scanners detected nothing unusual, only empty space and smooth surfaces. They did not see the fortress as alive. They did not understand the humans inside. Inside, the fortress responded. Subtle shifts began in the gravity fields. Space itself seemed to bend slightly around the hull. The alien fleet slowed, struggling to maintain formation. Some ships drifted off course. Engines strained as navigation computers reported errors. Panic began to spread in the command decks. Alan spoke calmly. "They will feel control without knowing it. Let them think they are safe." Lisa nodded. "Their confidence is their weakness." Kevin adjusted the core. Corridors rotated slightly. Airlocks shifted positions. Doors that once led to halls now led to walls. The fortress itself was a maze, ready to confuse and trap anyone who tried to board. The first wave of alien ships fired weapons. Lasers and plasma streams streaked toward the fortress. The humans watched calmly. The attacks passed harmlessly through the empty zones the fortress created. Energy was absorbed, redirected, or allowed to dissipate into space. Not a single panel was damaged. Not a single life was lost. Maria smiled. "They think they are attacking. They do not see we control everything." Alan nodded. "Let them learn slowly. Fear is stronger than any weapon." The alien fleet adjusted formation, sending boarding ships. Thousands of alien soldiers approached, thinking they could overwhelm security teams. But inside, the fortress shifted again. Gravity wells bent subtly. Corridors rotated. Doors led to nowhere. The boarding parties became trapped in endless loops, running into walls, falling from one corridor to another, unable to find a path. Kevin monitored the readings. "They cannot navigate. Our systems confuse every attempt. The fortress is stable and their movement is chaotic." Lisa watched through the observation window. "They will panic soon. Humans have only to wait." Alan addressed the crew. "Remember, we do not fight to destroy. We fight to survive. Every step they take, every mistake they make strengthens our position. Patience is our ally. The fortress is alive because we understand it. The galaxy fears what it cannot control. Today, they will learn that lesson." Outside, the alien fleets tried to regroup. Weapons fired again, but the fortress absorbed, deflected, and redirected every attack. Navigation computers of alien ships reported impossible anomalies. Ships collided softly with one another as gravity fields interfered. Fleets that had moved with confidence now staggered. Inside, children continued their lessons. Farmers tended crops. Engineers adjusted minor systems. Life was calm, ordinary, and human, yet the fortress itself was deadly in its silence. The alien commanders panicked. Zather shouted orders, trying to coordinate attacks. "Bring more ships forward, fire everything, board the fortress, we cannot fail." But every action only made matters worse for them. The fortress shifted subtly, bending space and confusing navigation. Boarding parties became lost in the maze of corridors. Ships collided with each other. Lasers passed harmlessly through empty zones created by gravity manipulation. Alan spoke to Lisa. "They do not understand that the fortress itself is the weapon. It is not engines, shields, or missiles. It is precision, patience, and understanding. We survive because we know the rules they cannot see." Lisa nodded. "And they will leave knowing only fear." Kevin spoke quietly from the core chamber. "The fortress can move any direction. We could place it between their fleet and any planet if we chose. It is capable of holding space against any attack without firing a single shot." Maria smiled. "We do not need to attack. We only need to survive, and they cannot touch us." Alan addressed the crew over the intercom. "Remember, humans do not fight for pride. We fight to endure. Every motion of the fortress, every adjustment we make, is proof that we are never weak. Today, the galaxy will witness our strength. Tomorrow, they will respect it. One day, they will understand why humans cannot be ignored." Outside, alien fleets began to retreat slightly. Panic spread through their ranks. Some ships tried to flee. Others continued attacks, but they were uncoordinated. The fortress did not respond with violence. It did not need to. Survival alone was enough to overwhelm the enemy. Inside, life continued normally. Children laughed. Engineers worked. Crops were tended. Humans moved calmly, confident in their knowledge and the fortress itself. Alan spoke softly to Lisa. Today we showed them our strength without aggression. Tomorrow we will show them that humans endure. That is the true power they cannot understand. Lisa looked out at the stars. The galaxy will speak of this fortress for generations. Fleets will hesitate before facing humans again. They will fear what they cannot predict, and we will remain calm. Kevin added, all systems stable. The fortress can continue to maneuver. Any attack will fail. Humans control this battle without lifting a weapon. Maria smiled. And that is the lesson. Humans endure and nothing else matters. Alan walked to the observation deck, watching the retreating fleet. They will leave with fear, but they will return. And when they do, they will know humans cannot be surprised. They cannot be predicted. They cannot be controlled. The fortress is alive, but it is powered by humans, and that is what makes it unstoppable. Lisa joined him. We are ready. The fortress and its people are ready. The galaxy may test us, but we will endure every challenge. Alan nodded. And in doing so, we teach the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. Strength is not only in weapons. It is in patience, precision, and understanding. Today, the aliens learned that. Tomorrow, the Council will learn that. And one day, the galaxy will never forget it. Inside, life continued. Children learned, engineers maintained systems, farmers tended gardens. The fortress pulsed quietly, alive with purpose, ready for any action but calm in every moment. And somewhere in the void, alien fleets reconsidered. They whispered of humans, their floating fortress, and the strange power that needed no weapons, no engines, and no shields to dominate space. The message was clear: humans endure, humans survive, and the galaxy would remember this lesson. Alan Brooks watched the stars and whispered to himself, patience is our ally, survival is our weapon, and humanity will endure no matter what the galaxy brings next. The floating fortress drifted silently in space, calm, alive, and unstoppable. The galaxy had tested humans and failed. The fortress had shown its first true display of power, not through destruction, but through intelligence, patience, and quiet mastery of forces the aliens could not understand. Inside, humans continued life. They laughed, worked, and learned. The fortress pulsed with energy. It had survived the galaxy's test, and it would survive many more. The galaxy had begun to understand one simple truth. Humans endure, and that endurance is stronger than any fleet, stronger than any weapon, and impossible to destroy. The stars were calm, the void silent, yet the fortress held power no one could measure. It waited, ready for the next challenge, and the galaxy knew it. Fear had begun to replace doubt, and respect, quiet and unspoken, had begun to grow. Alan Brooks and Lisa Morrow watched the void, knowing that humanity had passed its greatest first test. The fortress drifted, alive with intelligence and calm purpose, teaching the galaxy that strength is not only in firepower, but in patience, endurance, and understanding. The story of humanity was no longer one of weakness. It was a story of power invisible, of a floating fortress that could not be conquered, and of a species that could not be predicted. The galaxy would never forget this lesson. The alien fleets had retreated. The massive display of the fortress's power, its subtle control of gravity, and its ability to survive without firing a single weapon had changed the galaxy forever. Whispers spread across systems. Council chambers debated endlessly. Fleets that once would have attacked humans now moved with caution. The floating fortress had not just survived, it had reshaped the way the galaxy viewed humanity. Inside, life continued as always. Children floated through corridors, laughing. Engineers adjusted panels, ensuring gravity wells were stable. Farmers tended hydroponic crops. The fortress moved silently through space, its energy steady, its purpose clear. Humans had learned long ago that calmness and understanding were as powerful as any weapon. Commander Alan Brooks walked through the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Captain Lisa Morrow joined him, calm and composed. "They have retreated," Lisa said quietly. "But they will return. Others will come." "They always do when they fear something they do not understand," Alan nodded. "And they will learn again as many times as it takes. Humans endure. That is the lesson. They cannot destroy what they do not understand, and they cannot predict us." Kevin Ross, in the core chamber, monitored energy levels. "All systems stable. The fortress can continue drifting or move anywhere in the galaxy. Any fleet that approaches will face the same confusion we created before. The fortress is ready." Maria Lane moved through corridors, observing the crew. "Humans have always survived because we adapt. We do not fight for pride or conquest. We fight because survival requires planning, patience, and understanding. The galaxy may not know it yet, but they will." Children continued their lessons. Emily floated in a classroom, looking at the stars outside. "Mom," she asked, "will the aliens come back?" Jennifer smiled. "Perhaps, sweetie, but they will not succeed. Humans always find a way to endure." Alan overheard and nodded quietly. "And we teach them without killing. Sometimes survival itself is the strongest lesson." The Galactic Council, meanwhile, had convened to discuss the fortress. Alien leaders debated, whispered, and argued. Some wanted to attack again. Others suggested alliances, treaties, or trade. None of them fully understood the humans, and that uncertainty terrified them more than any weapon could. Ambassador Nathan Cole spoke calmly. "Humans do not build to conquer. We do not build to destroy. The fortress exists to survive, to protect our people, and to endure. Your fleets, your weapons, and your strategies cannot harm it unless you act recklessly. Humans teach the galaxy through action, not destruction." Vren hissed. "But their fortress, it is not like anything we have known. How can one city survive thousands of ships?" "Because it is more than a city," Nathan replied. "It is humanity itself. It moves with precision, acts with understanding, and endures because we do not fear the unknown. We embrace it. That is why the fortress cannot be touched." Inside, Alan and Lisa walked through corridors where civilians worked and children played. The fortress was calm, ordinary, yet every movement held quiet power. The humans inside understood their purpose. The fortress was alive, but it was powered by humans, their intelligence, patience, and will. Alan spoke softly. "They will speak of this fortress for generations. They may fear us, but they will also respect us. Humans endure, and that is our power." Lisa nodded. "They will try to test us again. The galaxy cannot help itself, but we are ready. The fortress and its people are prepared for anything." Kevin adjusted panels quietly. "Energy stable, gravity wells ready. Any approach will fail. The fortress controls space itself in subtle ways they cannot see." Maria smiled. "We do not need to attack. Survival is enough. The lesson is already taught." Outside, scouts reported slowly returning fleets. Alien commanders whispered among themselves. Fear had replaced confidence. Numbers no longer meant security. The fortress had shown the galaxy that humans could survive anything, and the method was terrifying in its subtlety. Inside, life continued. Children floated and learned. Engineers maintained systems, and civilians worked with quiet purpose. The fortress hummed with calm energy, alive in every corridor, every chamber, and every step. It was a city, a home, and a weapon all at once, but one that acted only when humans deemed it necessary. Alan walked through the observation deck, watching the stars. Humans endure, humans survive, and that is a power no fleet, no council, and no empire can ignore. Today the galaxy fears, tomorrow they will respect, and one day they will understand. Lisa looked at him. And when they understand, it will be too late. They cannot change the lesson we have already shown. Humans endure because we prepare, we adapt, and we understand. Nathan Cole addressed the Galactic Council once more. The fortress exists not to conquer, not to attack, but to ensure that humanity can survive. We do not need to strike first. We only need to endure, and that endurance changes everything. Vren hissed. We cannot fight them, not in the way we imagined, and yet they do not attack. It is unnatural. Humans are unpredictable, another officer whispered, and that is why they cannot be destroyed. Inside, Alan spoke to the crew over the intercom. Remember this. Humans do not fight for pride. We fight to endure. Every calm step, every measured action, every moment of patience teaches the galaxy what it means to face a species it cannot predict. Today we survived an entire fleet without a single casualty. Tomorrow we will survive the next test, and one day the galaxy will never forget the truth of humanity. Children continued their lessons. Emily floated near a window, watching alien ships retreat. "Mom, will we see them again?" "Perhaps," Jennifer said. "But humans will always be ready. We endure, and that is stronger than anything else." Alan walked past them, overhearing the words. He smiled faintly. "They will understand one day. The galaxy will remember humans, not for weapons, not for fleets, but for endurance, intelligence, and the quiet strength that cannot be measured." Kevin adjusted the core one last time for the day. "All systems stable, fortress ready. Any approach will fail." Humans control this environment completely. Maria moved through the halls, watching her teams. "Humans have survived countless challenges because we plan, adapt, and endure. The galaxy may test us again, but the fortress will always protect life, and humans will always survive." Lisa spoke to Alan quietly. "They may come with bigger fleets, stronger weapons, but they will always face the same reality. Humans endure and nothing else matters." Alan nodded. "And when they finally understand, the galaxy will respect humans, because endurance, intelligence, and patience are stronger than fear, fleets, and firepower. That is the lesson the floating fortress teaches." Outside, alien fleets disappeared into the darkness of space. Whispers spread of humans and their strange fortress. Councils debated, empires reconsidered, and the galaxy began to recognize that one species had changed everything. Inside, the fortress pulsed with quiet energy. Children laughed, engineers worked, farmers tended crops, and humans moved calmly through corridors. The city floated, alive with intention, patience, and understanding. It had survived its greatest tests, and it would survive many more. Alan Brooks watched the stars and whispered to himself, "Humans endure, humans survive, and the galaxy will never forget it. Today we showed strength without violence. Tomorrow we will show patience. And one day the universe will know that humanity cannot be conquered, cannot be predicted, and cannot be ignored." Lisa joined him, her face calm. "We are ready for anything, Alan. The fortress and its people are prepared. The galaxy may challenge us, but humans will endure every test." Alan nodded. "And that is enough. Humans do not conquer for pride. We survive for life. The fortress teaches that, and the galaxy has learned it. Now we wait, and we endure." Inside, the floating fortress continued its silent drift. Energy hummed quietly. Corridors shifted with subtle adjustments. Life went on. Children learned, engineers maintained systems, and humans worked calmly. The fortress was alive with purpose, intelligence, and quiet strength. And somewhere in the galaxy, whispers spread of humans who survived fleets without firing a shot, of a floating fortress that could not be destroyed, and of a species that could not be predicted. Fear, respect, and wonder replaced doubt. Alan Brooks and Lisa Morrow watched the stars, knowing the fortress had passed its greatest trials. The galaxy had learned the truth. Humans endure, humans survive, and that endurance is stronger than fleets, stronger than weapons, and impossible to destroy. The floating fortress drifted silently, calm and alive, carrying humanity through the stars. And the universe knew that it had witnessed something extraordinary. A species that could not be measured, a fortress that could not be conquered, and a story of human endurance that would never be forgotten.